Narrated Abu Bakr, we were with Allah's apostle, peace be upon him, when the sun eclipsed. Allah's apostle stood up dragging his cloak till he entered the mosque. He led us in a 2-rak'at prayer till the sun, eclipse, had cleared. Then the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the sun and the moon do not eclipse because of someone's death. So whenever you see these eclipses, pray and invoke Allah till the eclipse is over. Narrated Abu Mas'ud, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the sun and the moon do not eclipse because of the death of someone from the people, but they are 2 signs amongst the signs of Allah. When you see them, stand up and pray. Narrated Al-Mughira bin Shu'bah, the sun eclipsed in the lifetime of Allah's apostle, peace be upon him, on the day when his son Ibrahim died. So the people said that the sun had eclipsed because of the death of Ibrahim. Allah's apostle, peace be upon him, said, the sun and the moon do not eclipse because of the death or life, i.e. birth, of someone. When you see the eclipse, pray and invoke Allah. Narrated Aisha, in the lifetime of Allah's apostle, peace be upon him, the sun eclipsed. So he led the people in prayer, and stood up and performed a long qiyam, then bowed for a long while. He stood up again and performed a long qiyam, but this time the period of standing was shorter than the first. He bowed again for a long time, but shorter than the first one. Then he prostrated and prolonged the prostration. He did the same in the second rak'ah, or as he did in the first, and then finished the prayer. By then the sun, eclipse, had cleared. He delivered the khutbah sermon, and after praising and glorifying Allah, he said, the sun and the moon are 2 signs against the signs of Allah. They do not eclipse on the death or life of anyone. So when you see the eclipse, remember Allah and say takbir. Pray and give sadaqah. The Prophet, peace be upon him, then said, O followers of Muhammad, by Allah, there is none who has more gaira, self-respect, than Allah, as he has forbidden that his slaves, male or female, commit adultery, illegal sexual intercourse. O followers of Muhammad, by Allah, if you knew that which I know, you would laugh little and weep much. Narrated Abdullah bin Amr, when the sun eclipsed in the lifetime of Allah's apostle, peace be upon him, an announcement was made that a prayer was to be offered in congregation. Narrated Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, peace be upon him, in the lifetime of the Prophet, peace be upon him, the sun eclipsed and he went to the mosque and the people aligned behind him. He said the takbir, starting the prayer, and prolonged the recitation from the Qur'an, and then said takbir and performed a prolonged bowing. Then he lifted his head and said, Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allah heard him who sent his praises to him. He then did not prostrate but stood up and recited a prolonged recitation, which was shorter than the first recitation. He again said takbir and then bowed a prolonged bowing but shorter than the first one, and then said, Samia Allahu liman hamida Rabbana walakai hamd. Allah heard him who sent his praises to him. O our sustainer, all the praises are for you, and then prostrated and did the same in the second rak'ah. Thus he completed 4 bowing and 4 prostrations. The sun, eclipse, had cleared before he finished the prayer. After the prayer, he stood up, glorified and praised Allah as he deserved, and then said, The sun and the moon are 2 of the signs of Allah. They do not eclipse because of the death or the life, i.e. birth, of someone. When you see them, make haste for the prayer. Narrated Az-Zuri, I said to Urwa, when the sun eclipsed at Medina, your brother, Abdullah bin Az-Zubayr, offered only a 2 rak'at prayer like that of the morning Fajr prayer. Urwa replied, Yes, for he missed the Prophet's tradition, concerning this matter. Narrated Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, peace be upon him, on the day when the sun Kasafet eclipsed Allah's apostle, peace be upon him, prayed. He stood up and said takbir and recited a prolonged recitation. Then he performed a prolonged bowing. Then he raised his head and said, Sami Allahu liman hamida, and then remained standing and recited a prolonged recitation which was shorter than the first. Then he performed a prolonged bowing which was shorter than the first. Then he prostrated and prolonged the prostration, and he did the same in the second rak'ah as in the first, and then finished the prayer with taslim. By that time the sun, eclipse, had cleared. He addressed the people and said, The sun and the moon are two of the signs of Allah. They do not eclipse Yaqsafan because of the death or the life, i.e. birth, of someone. So when you see them, make haste for the prayer. Narrated Abu Bakr, Allah's apostle, peace be upon him, said, The sun and the moon are two signs amongst the signs of Allah, and they do not eclipse because of the death of someone, but Allah frightens his devotees with them. Narrated Amr bint Abdurrahman, a Jewess came to ask Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, peace be upon him, about something. She said to her, May Allah give you refuge from the punishment of the grave. So Aisha asked Allah's apostle, peace be upon him, would the people be punished in their graves? Allah's apostle, peace be upon him, after seeking refuge with Allah from the punishment of the grave, and thus replied in the affirmative.